It shouldn't be that much of a surprise since the Green Bay Packers removed Ted Thompson from his position as general manager that there might be an ever so slight adjustment, a change in terms of their offseason approach. Where for Packers fans for years, one of the great frustrations is the team would largely sit on their hands and stroke their cocks when it came to free agency and not get out there in the marketplace, not get out there and be very active. Now, with new leadership in place at the general manager position, you would expect those things to change a little bit, because if they didn't, then why would you make the move? And Green Bay has been noticeably a little more active this offseason in the free agency period. I don't know if it would be a sign of overwhelming activity, a seismic shift in philosophy, but there has been a change. And today, the Green Bay Packers tried to make another move in free agency by extending an offer sheet to Chicago Bears free agent corner Kyle Fuller, the former first-round pick from 2014, who had a pretty good rookie season. 2015 was a down year. 2016 was a lost year due to injury. And then in 2017, after Ryan Pace, the Bears general manager, did not pick up the fifth-year option, Kyle Fuller went out there and had a really, really good year. So I'm not surprised that somebody would try to get in to the Kyle Fuller sweepstakes, even with the Bears placing the transition tag on him. I'm really not that shocked. I'm not that surprised, because you're still talking about a young corner getting ready to enter the peak of his career, and with some of the injury concerns that he's had, the fact that he hasn't been a stud all 4 years in the NFL, his price tag was not going to be as big as some of the bigger name corners on the market, such as Trumaine Johnson and Malcolm Butler. That wasn't going to happen. And I was wondering what the terms of this were, and whether or not those terms were going to potentially be very front-loaded in terms of the guaranteed money, where it made the Bears kind of take a step back and pause a little bit and wonder whether or not they were going to match it. But according to Ian Rappaport, here's what the Green Bay Packers offered to Kyle Fuller. 4 years, $56 million, with a grand total of $18 million guaranteed. And even if we assume that Rappaport is slightly off with the numbers, this seems close to the target. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, it might be 20 or 21 million guaranteed. Not a huge variance, maybe a little bit of one, but let's operate under that assumption even. I don't think that changes this a lot for Chicago, because you're looking at Kyle Fuller, who, because Ryan Pace did not pick up the fifth-year option for 2018, allowing Kyle Fuller to potentially hit the market by putting the transition tag on Fuller, the Bears were committing themselves to potentially paying almost $13 million to their young corner this upcoming season, assuming nobody in the market gave him any type of long-term deal. So the Bears had already factored in that if nobody came and nobody did anything, that they most likely were going to be on the hook for Kyle Fuller for $13 million this upcoming season. So you look at this deal for the Packers, and to me, when I see the guaranteed money, I look at it and the value of the package. I say, to me, this is one of these examples where the Green Bay Packers did it to kind of say that they did it, to kind of put out there to their fan base, to the organization, to the players, the coaches, that they're trying to be aggressive in free agency. But this really isn't that aggressive of a move, frankly. It's really not that overwhelmingly powerful of a package financially. Nor would I necessarily expect it, nor necessarily should it have been. But looking at it from the Chicago Bears standpoint, they absolutely have to match this, and I fully believe they absolutely are going to. For another $5 to maybe $7 million guaranteed, you could have Kyle Fuller locked up longer term. And even if you say 2017 was a fluke or an aberration and he doesn't quite play at that level again in 2018, you're really not losing that much more money than you already would have if he was just playing under the one-year transition tag. But if Kyle Fuller is a similar player in 2018 compared to 2017, or heaven forbid, any better, then this deal really doesn't look that bad in the grand scheme of things. It actually looks like a very good deal for the Chicago Bears, and if anything, the Green Bay Packers would have potentially done the Chicago Bears a favor by helping them lock up a number one corner for less than number one corner money on the open market. That might be sounding a bit optimistic, but I'm just saying, Fuller had flashes in 2017 of being a number one corner. And if you're telling me 18 to 20 million guaranteed to have that guy in Chicago the next couple of years manning that corner position, I feel pretty good about that. It's easy to say because it's not my money, but you get what I'm saying. The Bears absolutely are going to match this. They don't have a choice. And it actually creates an opportunity for them to come out with a big win long term. And one of my concerns when Ryan Pace didn't pick up the fifth-year option as 2017 played out is that now Kyle Fuller goes out there and you've committed all this money to him via the transition tag. It creates a baseline. And one of these other teams could get really desperate in free agency, missing out on some of the other bigger name corners, and come in and front load the hell out of a deal and make it really concerning and challenging for the Bears to match it. And that would have been on Ryan Pace's ass. But hey, ultimately, it looks like it worked out, and it worked out really well for the Bears and, honestly, the Packers. They're not going to end up with Kyle Fuller. Something would have to dramatically change in the Bears organization for them to not match this deal, and frankly, I would knock them more if they didn't match this deal, because at this point in time, based off of the total value and more specifically what really matters, the guaranteed money, they'd be insane not to, because even if you said it was like $13 million guaranteed in 2018, another $5 million guaranteed in 2019, the value isn't that much in terms of the overall contract. It's not restrictive or prohibitive for the Bears to even look at this as just at least 2 years of cost certainty for Kyle Fuller. That's a big win. The Packers can pretend like they cared. The Packers can pretend like they were being aggressive in free agency, even though this deal really indicates to me that they were kind of trying to get their feet wet, but they weren't fully balls deep in, and they weren't really being that aggressive, because if they were being that aggressive, they would have offered a whole lot more, especially in terms of the guaranteed money and potentially in terms of front-loading the structure of said guaranteed money. But they didn't, and they never were going to. And as a result, the Bears really, to me, have no choice. The only thing the Bears need to be careful of is getting those reports out there that they're going to match, they're fully intending to match, and there's no chance that they won't match. Nah, this is about leverage at this point. If the Green Bay Packers want to come at you and try to take one of your guys, then you fucks with them. You put out the reports, you leak that shit however you need to, that you're not sure if you're going to commit to Kyle Fuller. You're not sure if you want to tie up your organization to him that long term. Because then the Packers are sitting there trying to hold that money aside for a couple of days, and other guys like Honey Badger and such could potentially go off the market because the Green Bay Packers have this money set aside thinking that they might have a chance at Kyle Fuller. The Bears have some leverage here. Even though you could say the Packers had some leverage because they're the ones that extended the deal. Now, in this case, the Bears have the leverage, and it's time to exercise some of that damn leverage. Make it a rare opportunity in the past couple of decades for the Bears to stick it to the Packers a little bit. Thanks for playing, Green Bay, but we'll keep Kyle Fuller. And in the grand scheme of things, the deal you offered him wasn't that bad and may potentially end up being pretty team-friendly. So thank you, Cheeseheads. Thanks a lot for the help. Now, Ryan Pace, fuck with them for a few days before you announce that you're going to match it, okay?